So, hey, I wanted to introduce the VDURA Sentinel support cloud that we're releasing, the latest version in our V12 software. We're really excited about this. It really takes our support to the next level, and we're super excited to tell you about it. So what I have here, this is up and running in a test environment. So this is a view from the support team that the support team would have, and this runs in our cloud. And you can see here I've got 2 sites in 38 realms, and so you can see there's a GCP site. These are all cloud-based V5000s, and then these are the lab. These are physical units, and you can see there's quite a few. These are the test systems that all the engineers use. We run more than 1,000 tests for every software release, and we do everything from pull drives to do all kinds of corner case failure modes where something goes online, then offline, then online, and offline. We have all these tests that we've learned over the years, and so this you're seeing in the lab here all the all the live telemetry from those as well. We ping roughly every 5 minutes, and so you can see that the GCP realm, got a packet of information 3 minutes ago, and then the lab 1 minute ago. And so this is a view that that support technicians get, and you can see that there was a critical error, which somebody actually did this on purpose. This was a filling up of a node. What happens when you do that? And so we can see that, and then I can actually go right to that failure, and you can see that the support technicians are able to see number one, they're able to see all the errors that have come in and all the status that have come in from the system, and then we have an LLM that's been trained on all the different support cases that we've seen, right? So, we have thousands of systems in the field. We've had many chances to see, what happens when there's power failures or cable errors or things like that. And so, the summary is actually born of understanding the whole corpus of our fleet and what's happened in the past. And so you can see you get the service technician immediately, within a couple of minutes of anything happening, they see a summary, like what are the highlights of that? What are the trends? What's been happening with the system? And by the way, you see I can look 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and 1 quarter as far as how that system has been behaving. And the system takes into account all the data we have, so both statuses, and then I'll show you the diagnostic dumps that we have. It says what are the open issues, and then actually gives recommendations to for remediation. And you can actually receive this back yourself if you want to take that data into your network. I'll show you that in just a second. So we have all this information available to us. We can also look at all the diagnostics. That particular one doesn't have any diagnostics. Let me show you a different one. So here's a realm. So you can see that we're doing twice daily. You can schedule diagnostics, and then I'll just look at the last one, and you can see that again we've taken this several megabytes of information about the system, and then based on our long experience, we've got we automatically summarize that for the technician and for yourself to look at, and it also tells you what happened since the last capture, and then gives suggestions about what to do. So it's a really mature system. And I wanted to spend a second just kind of showing you the controls that you have over your data, right? This is your data, your choice. It's very important to us that you have quite a bit of control over what goes. And so this is your dashboard. It's part of our V12 GUI, and it tells you, and let me make this just a little bit bigger so it's easy for people to see. So you can see, first of all, there's the data sharing. So what data are you sharing? And by the way, you don't have to share anything, right? I can just push this button and nothing is shared. It's completely, this is, again, your network completely. If you want to see exactly what information is shared, we have a write-up on exactly what this is, and we also have some more in-depth. We have a white paper that talks about what is shared and what is not. And I'll go a little bit more. It's really important to us. We never share file names or directory names or anything. It's all just system information. And then you can also have some fine-grained control over what is sent. And you can see it all goes to our clouds. Here's the Sentinel VDURA cloud. This is the this is the endpoint. It's all shared over HTTPS, so it's completely encrypted. It's really secure. And then you can say, what? For example, I don't want to ever send any deep dive data. By the way, the deep dive data is super helpful, but let's say that I don't want to share that, no problem. I just turn that off, and that is turned off. I can turn it back on, and I'll turn back on sharing because I want to see what's going on. And then we also have give you control over how to look at your network, right? So we can actually you can just have it scan. So for example, I'm scanning everything on 1097, and then X will be from 0 to 255.11 on port 443. You have complete control over this, right? So you can just specify direct IP addresses like I've done here, or you can specify ranges of IP addresses. And then there's an option here. So the way we have our system set up is whenever there's a critical error, like a red error, we do a full diagnostic and ship it to the support cloud, right? And that way the technician is able to see it immediately. We also have Slack integration, so it shows up in the Slack channel right away, and everybody can see something happened. If you want to see what is leaving your network, we have a way to inspect the full payload. So this will be the next capture. By the way, it's only about 180K. So it's not a big deal, and that's for 34 realms, right? Most people only have one, so it's a relatively lightweight status, and you can just go in and look at the JSON file and see exactly what what's being sent. You can also look back and you can see all the previous sends. So you see roughly every 5 minutes I'm pinging the system. And then you have control over authentication. So likely you've set a password and username for your realms. And so there's a way to go in here and add credentials. And you can, of course, revoke the credentials. And then finally, you can actually see exactly the information that was sent to the Sentinel cloud. So let me just look at this last one, and you can see it was 185 kilobytes of information, and you can actually just go in there and look at exactly what was sent. So you can have complete control over your own data. And then let me show you. So there's a couple of modes that we can work in. So the one that we use internally is that whenever there's an error, we just automatically send a diagnostic report, right? So you can see here's our choices, right? So we failed this one on purpose, right? Just so you know, it's a test going on. You can schedule captures, so I can go in here and I can schedule captures, and again, the same thing. I can say when, how often, daily, twice daily, weekly, hourly. If something's going on, we can send logs every hour. And then you can again say what you want. I cannot send the CPU monitor info. I can send the CPU monitor. And then we can choose to do a cloud analysis after each run or not, right? And this is really important. So, here I've got this sent. This will actually analyze that information and make it available to the support team automatically without you doing anything. So here I won't create that, but I'll show you. You can also send a one-off, right? So let's say something happens or you have a question. You can just go in here and do a new diagnostic capture. And again, same thing. You can choose what you want to send. And then you have these three options, and these are really important. So in general, the support cloud only sends data out of your network and only the data that you give it permission to send. If you want, you can get the results of a particular analysis sent back to you, right? So that is this that is this option, and I'll show you. It asks for sure in just a second. The other thing you can do is you can say, you know what, I don't want anything coming back into my network. I only want this information going out, and you can just send it to us. We will analyze it, and we'll open a service request on your behalf, right? So that'll happen, and then you'll get the service request service just through your email address like you had before, and you can also add an additional contact email. That's possible. So then this information goes out of your network. Nothing comes back in this case. And then we also have an option where you can just collect the logs, right? And that way nothing leaves, nothing comes in, and then you can email those logs to us through the service request process and maintain complete operational security. So that's up to you. So if I choose to analyze in the cloud, of course, that's the most useful one. I'll go and it'll actually run the diagnostic and come back, and let me show you. It takes about 2 minutes, by the way. So let me go back to some other one and just look at one of the ones that's done before. So here's a twice daily one, and you can see the logs are out there. It hasn't sent anything out, but it's collected it. So let me push the analyze in the cloud button. And again, your choice is to receive the report here, but that requires receiving something, or you can just send it directly to us. Let's do the receive the report here and give it just a second. And you can see that in this case, it ran all the full thing: systat, syslog, CPU monitor, hardware, and operational statistics. We also have performance available, so you can see the performance. in there. And so what it's doing here is it's sending your log information, which is, many thousands of lines of text. Again, all anonymized, no file names, no directory names, anything like that. But it's all system information, but it's a relatively large amount of information. It's sending that to our cloud. Our cloud has the benefit of having seen thousands of systems over the years, and we've probably handled every kind of error that you can think of over the years. It uses that as a database, and through that lens, it sends an analysis back to you and also to our service cloud of what to do. So in this case, this is a pretty simple failure. There's a LED failure in a drive bay. By the way, that's one of the tests we do. We knock the LED out and see what happens. So it tells us what's going on. It tells us what's happening since the last one. It says, here are what these findings mean, right? When you got 5,000 lines of text, it's pretty hard to figure out. This just parses it for you, and then, just like before, it tells you what's happened since the previous diagnostic was sent and recommends half a dozen actions for you to take. So let me just give a quick demo of how this works, right? So I'm going to let me make this a little bit smaller. So I'll go to our GCP realm here. So here I have this test environment set up here, and let me go back to the main view. So this is our cloud view, and so I'm just looking at these, right? And so let's pick on PanFS2. So let's go to PanFS2, and we're going to go to one of the OSDs. I'm going to turn it off, right? So don't do this at home, but I'm going to skip the graceful shutdown too. So I'm just gonna yank the power cord out of one of those SSDs, and so in reality, right, this every couple of minutes you get a system, and so let's just watch this one and see what happens. Okay, so here we are back, and so you can see that we received some new telemetry from live just now. We get some new telemetry from the GCP realm at the support cloud. And so what happened, let's see, let's do a refresh. There we go. So it tells us that the realm is still reachable, but one OSD node dropped out. And of course, that's because we dropped it out ourselves. And so, in the VDURA architecture, this is not an emergency, right? We're a fully scale out M+2 architecture, so we can actually lose two OSDs and still maintain connectivity, reachability, et cetera, right? So, the system, one, understands that something happened, and then two, it notes what's happening, right? It's stayed reachable, it's in warning, et cetera. And so I'm going to go back and turn that on. So let me go back over here. I'm going to use computer, just a second. I'm going to start that. And then you'll see at the next update, it'll show that it has been restored. And actually, that's all actually appeared in our Slack channel, right? So I can look over at Slack and see that an OSD went down, and then in a minute it'll show me that it went back up. So, the problem that this addresses, you think about it, you've got these big systems going. You don't want to be looking at them all the time. And so the way that the VDURA support cloud is structured is that we're looking at this anonymized information, right? No sensitive information is sent. We just look at the health information, and our system sees a problem it looks every couple of minutes, and it'll see a problem, and then it will look at that problem through the lens of all the other problems we've ever seen, and alert the service team if it thinks it's serious enough. And of course, we can set thresholds and things like that. And then we can initiate a service request and let you know that something's wrong, and give the advice on how to correct it. So, for example, if it's a bad drive, we can dispatch a new drive, et cetera. And we can do all that within the first couple of minutes of the failure, with no need for a person to actually look into it and do anything. Right, the first time that a person sees this, we've already had several levels of failure analysis and recommendations for correction. And you can see here on the right, so 4 minutes ago, one of the 6 OSDs was not online in storage 1, the volume's degraded. It knows something's wrong and it's taking action, right? And of course, that system took action immediately, right? We're designed to handle quite a few failures, but then now we see that in the system. And then, of course, the other thing we can do is we can go in and initiate a full diagnostic report, send that to the team as well, right? So we have all these options. So super excited to give you a preview of what's coming out with V12. We're really excited about it, and the maturity of our fleet really makes it so that our cloud-based analysis tools are really effective, and we have a very good chance of finding and correcting the problem within just minutes of it occurring, so that your uptime stays at 100% and that we're meeting your needs.